guys, it's Jacqueline here. In today's video, I'm bringing you my reviews, swatches, a ton of comparisons, and a full face demo of the brand new Hourglass Face Palette. I'm talking about their new Holiday 2021 collection of Universe and Universe Unlocked palette, as well as the Ambient Lighting Volume 3 palette. But before we get started, and if you're new here, I hope that you can give me that opportunity and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you ring that post notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads, and come and follow me on my Instagram. And now, if you want to see how these palettes look on my light to medium over 40 skin, then just keep on watching. Just as promised on my last live video, I went ahead and picked up all of the 3 new face palettes from Hourglass. They are holiday palettes, which are the Ambient Lighting Edit Universe and Universe Unlocked, as well as the Ambient Lighting Palette Volume 3. Although this palette right here is not intended for my skin tone, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Welcome to all of you, my friends. I do have a light to medium skin tone with a little bit of, I would say, more neutral undertone. I get a little bit on the warmer side during the hot months where I get a little bit more of a tan. I will be leaving my foundation matches on the description box below too. And also something that is important to know is that I'm on my 4th floor, meaning that I do have texture, enlarged pores, fine lines, you know, signs of aging. And I find out that with Hourglass, usually I have good luck because they do not emphasize too much all of those things that I don't want to be emphasized. But anyhow, friends, let me show you the unicards right here. They are pretty much alike. This one that has the H and the bunny in the middle is for the Ambient Lighting Edit Universe Unlocked, which is meant to be mostly for those who have light, medium tan skin tones. Obviously, I cannot talk for those who have deeper complexions, but I know my friend Victoria James, I think she will be picking up this palette, or at least this palette right here, and reviewing it. And I'm sure many of other beauty content creators that have richer complexions will be reviewing this palette, so it's really good that you check around if you have deeper skin tone than mine. And then the other palette is the Ambient Lighting Edit Universe. Again, packaging pretty much the same. Now, going into the packaging right here, they both have this team packaging, different from the Hourglass palettes from past years. These are made out of plastic. They are very reflective. They are fingerprint central for sure. These ones are the same material as their new eyeshadow palettes, which I have reviewed them too if you want to take a look at that. So they are team packaging. I feel that they are a little bit more durable, also a little bit heavier in weight. Now, as far as how much product you get, you're getting the same product as the other palettes, so there's no difference on that. It's just a packaging that is a little bit more sturdy. I think better also for traveling, which are the kind of thing that I like to do with this type of palette. In general, face palettes are the ones that I usually take for traveling because of convenience. So there you go, that's that. And they do have a shelf life of 12 months. They are made in Italy. They are cruelty free and also vegan. I love the difference in packaging too. Now here they are side by side. So this one right here is Universe, and this one is Universe Unlocked. This is the deeper one. So let's take a quick peek right here of how they look like. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of difference. Now, the difference on these type of products from Hourglass is that they are hand mixed, meaning that each powder is a little bit different. So, I mean, different not in shade, but perhaps you get, at least on the marble ones, you may have some that they are a little bit deeper and some that they are not. Let's start right here with the lightest palette, which is the Universe. And on this palette, you will find 4 new shades, 2 blushes, the bronzer, and the highlighter. And then this one right here is actually this powder, which is the Ambient Lighting Infinity Powder. Now this, I made a full-on review. It works for my skin tone. It does have a little bit more of luminosity. Some people may want to use it as a highlighter, although for me it will be too subtle of a highlighter. I actually like it for what it's intended for. To me, it's not a setting powder, but rather a finishing powder, something that it will give you an aura of glow, something that I will not bring on the, you know, very front on my cheeks where I do have enlarged pores or the fine lines. I just bring it on the perimeter of my face. So if you were wondering, this right here is the same one as this. Now this powder right here, some people they dislike it and some people they like it. I think it has to do a lot. It does have this beautiful soft focus effect that I personally really like, but I think that it doesn't work for wide range of skin tones. Hopefully it makes sense. Okay friends, let's go ahead and just give it a swatch to this baby right here. This makes me super excited. I am so excited for the blushes, honestly. And then the bronzer looks really nice too. I will have to say that these palettes, the magnetic closure is so strong that don't put them together because they will be like not hard to take out, but they do have a very strong magnet for sure. And also another thing to note is that they do have a very nice size mirror, which again makes it perfect for traveling. I'm gonna build up a little bit more here, the bronzer, and then here is the highlighter. So this one right here, it is for the Ambient Lighting Edit Universe palette. I'm gonna go first with the bronzer and my Refer 05 brush. And it seems like this bronzer has a little bit more of like a rosy undertone. Let's go for it. Oh. Okay, I feel that that's actually deep enough for my skin tone. Take it a little bit on the forehead. And this bronzer is called Glistening Bronze Light. Wayne Goss number 10, and I'm going with the blush in Luminous Rose. Now this Luminous formula is a very forgiving formula. It's more not super satin, it's normal, but it doesn't have any shimmer. Now because this is a deeper kind of like tone, I'm gonna use it right here on like this area of my cheek. Oh, that's so pretty. As you can tell, it has a little bit of kind of like a satin finish. It's definitely not matte, but it's not emphasizing my texture. I do have texture right here and it's not emphasizing it. Very, very beautiful. It actually looks like, you know, like a sunburn type of shade. It looks super pretty. It does have a little bit of like a golden undertone. Ooh, I'm liking this quite a bit. Okay, let's go for another clean brush right here. This is from Refer, and we're gonna go to the Vibrant Heat Blush. And this one is a strobe blush. Now, strobing blushes from Hourglass, they do have a little bit, I don't want to say, there's no glitter in it. There's no shimmer, but they do have a little bit more of a sheen to them. And I'm going to bring it a little bit more, kind of like towards the apples of my cheeks. And yeah, you see it has more luminosity. And that looks cute. It looks actually like this, okay, this shade right here kind of gave me a little bit of like a sunburn look, and this shade right here gave me a little bit of like I have been like by snow, you know, in the cold weather. I'm impressed on the amount of pigment that these blushes have. And actually, you know, like these, as you can tell, it shows a lot. I mean, like it doesn't show texture, but it's very, very reflective. Okay, let's do that. And now let's go for my Refer number 20 brush, and I'm going to go to the Supernatural Strobe Light, which is the highlighter. Well, let's see how this highlighter goes, because usually the highlighters from Hourglass, in general, they are not super beaming. So let's see. Okay, this is actually pretty potent, but very, you see, it's not, to me, it's not like way too much. It does have a little bit more coolness to it though, I will have to say that for sure. Okay, that's that right there. And now going into the Infinity powder right here. Like I said, when I use this powder right here, to me it's not a setting powder. To me it's just to give a little bit of like, you know, like an aura glow to your face. And I like to use it with my La Mer brush. So I don't like to use this powder with a buffing brush. I think a buffing brush can actually get too much product to it and just be a little bit too much. So I'm going to take it right here on my forehead, and then I'm going to buff it so you can tell this is how much powder I have, and then I just go like this. I don't take it right here, and it actually kind of like soft, I mean like it makes the entire makeup be a little bit more softer. Like I said, I mean like I have only tried on my skin tone, and to me it works really pretty. but that is something that it's out there because I know some people, they don't like it. Okay, my friends, so that's that. Now, in the past, I think I have done it with a gloss palette, also with this Unlock palette. When I did my review, I also used it on my eyes, and that's the beauty about these face palettes from Hourglass. You can use it on your eyes too. You can use the bronzer, and they, again, very forgiving for, you know, if you have a lot of folds on your eyelids and whatnot. I think they are amazing. Now, let's go for this baby right here. This is the Ambient Lighting Edit Universe Unlock. Now, in this one right here, you actually have only 3 new shades. I know, I wish they have done, you know, like at least these 4 new shades or the entire thing new, but oh well, this is what we have right here. So this is a finishing powder. It is the Radiant Light. So again, it's not a setting powder, and that's something that I think a lot of people get confused. And it even says right here on the back, like you read it, is finishing powder. It's not a setting powder. Okay, so this is the Radiant Light, and then we have the blushes are 2 new blushes, as well as the highlighter. The bronzer is a bronzer that actually I already own, is a Radiant Bronze Light Bronzer. So it's a bronzer that I particularly love. I wish though that they could have done a deeper bronzer, but oh well, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this baby right here. Down. Hello. This highlighter makes me excited right here. It has more of like a golden undertone to it, the highlighter. So let me show it to you. Here we have Universe Unlock from here to here. And there you go, there are the 2 of them compared to each other. Okay. So we see definitely a blush right here that is a little bit more like boom out there. So I'm going to be using a Rephr 05 brush for the bronzer. Now I'm using all clean brushes for everything. They are new brushes. There are none right here that I'm reusing again. This is how much the brush picked up. Let me just try a little more. As you can tell right there, this one right here leans a little bit more kind of peachy goldeny, while this bronzer right here leans a lot more rosy. I think both complement my skin tone in particular just fine, because I'm a little bit more neutral. Summertime I get a little bit more goldeny, so I can get away with either one of them. Now let's go for the blushes, which they are a lot more intense right here. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm using my Sonia G Classic Chic, and I'm gonna go to this shade over here, which is Rose Heat, the deepest in tone. Okay, I think that's plenty. And I'm gonna just apply it like above the bronzer and towards the back, draping it. Okay, this is a beautiful, beautiful blush. Now it is, yeah, definitely more magenta leaning than this one right here that I have on the front. And this one is just a regular blush. It's not matte, it's not satiny, it's just more skin-like. Rephr 19 brush, and let's go for the blush in Coral Flush. Now, this is a true coral tone, kind of like more like a flamingo type of shade. And I'm gonna bring it a little bit on the front, closer to the apples of my cheeks. Definitely this one right here has more of that satiny kind of reflect, no glitter. I don't see any glitter particles. but I mean, it's just more reflective, and therefore I don't really like to bring my blushes too close right here because I do have large pores. But this one right here, I feel is a little bit more forgiving, you know, a little bit more natural. And I'm actually building it up a little more so you can really see the difference right there. Apply it a little bit on my nose because these lashes, they actually, I mean, both finishes at the end, they look like you have been, you know, out on the cold weather, like snow, like perfect for obviously holiday season. Now let's go for that Solar Strobe Light, which is the highlighter, and I'm using a Refer number 20 brush. Again, it's a clean brush. So let's go for it. Ooh. Now, definitely this one right here is more of like a golden tone, you know, warmer, while this one right here is a little bit more cooler in tone. BK Beauty 102 brush, and let's go to the finishing powder, Radiant Light. Again, this is not a new powder, so here again, this one and this one, not new. I'm just gonna... Now, this powder, actually, I can use it on my enlarged pores without a problem. It doesn't emphasize anything. It gives more of like a, it's also a soft focus effect, but it doesn't have the brightening effect of the Infinity powder. So I can be more, a little bit more liberal at applying it. Now jumping into comparisons, here I do have that Sculpture palette. This came out last year. I will have to say this palette was a good palette for me. I enjoyed it, but I feel that I needed a little bit more depth on the bronzer and a little bit more something on the highlighter side. So I have gone ahead and swatched it. Now again, it's really hard to see the swatches on these palettes because of the nature of them, but I wanted to compare it with the lighter version of this year, the Universe. I'm gonna let my camera, I film in natural light, so I'm gonna let my camera kind of like get a little bit, you know, the darker side so you can really see right there the difference. There you go. Now let me show them to you side by side. As you can tell, I mean, there's a very distinctive difference between them. Now I'm going to compare the original Unlock palette with the Universe Unlock. Again, I think, yeah, they made a nice difference, I should say. And let me just put them side by side right there. I think they did a substantial upgrade, at least with the blushes. I think that's the main thing right here with the new Universe Unlock palette. That's what we see right there. Let's go for the Ambient Lighting Palette Volume 3. I didn't pick up the Volume 2 because they were repeated shades, and there was really not much of a difference or nothing that I can really take advantage of, you know, being on my skin tone. And this one you may be wondering, this one, why? This is gonna be very deep for your skin tone. And yes, I do agree with that. It's gonna be very deep for my skin tone. I just wanted to, first of all, show it to you. And also the reason why I decided to get it is to actually use it as a bronzer. I thought, you know what, there are really like these deeper shades on Hourglass. And I thought, you know, they look very pretty as bronzers. You have one that is more reddish in tone. This one right here has more of like a warm tone, yellow undertone, and then this beautiful shade right here that can act as a beautiful highlighter. And then I do have here the Ambient Lighting Palette original ones. I wanted to show them to you side by side. Now there is a distinct difference right here. That's for sure. I mean, like, yeah, that is for sure. There's a big distinction right there. Like I said, I'm gonna use it as a bronzer, and I know I already have bronzer on it, but let's just give it a try. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna go with, actually these brushes are Blue Squirrel Hair, so I just want you to note that, because these ones right here, I'm gonna pick up less products, so the impact that I will receive from this palette right here is not gonna be the same as if I was to use something like this right here, goat hair or synthetic hair either. You know, these ones will pick up a lot less products. So I'm gonna go first with let's do this. Let's go with this brush right here, and I'm gonna go to the lightest shade. And this is how much the brush picked up. And I'm just gonna, again, using a tiny amount, as you can tell right there, is definitely deeper. And it's working really good as a bronzer for me. Let me just go for this shade right here on this side. I'm gonna use this same shade right here to kind of like contour my nose. Now this shade right here is actually a highlighter. Actually, in fact, I haven't swatched this baby for you, so let's go for a swatch. And this is how deep they are. So you can tell this is definitely a highlighter, something that this particular palette I will be able to use as a eyeshadow palette. Yeah, because I can go with this shade all over the crease. With this shade I can make it deeper a little bit in my outer third, and then with this shade I can definitely use it as a highlighter, like a little spotlight. Yeah, I can definitely use these like an all over face kind of palette, and then, you know, use a blush if I want to and make it, you know, like super easy for me. And now let me compare it with this palette right here. This is the original one. This is not the second one. The second one had all repeated shades, and yeah, it to me wasn't that one. So now this right here, I use it in a completely different way. I just use a brush like this and go back and forth and kind of like set my face with it. This is not even a highlighter, nothing of that. Going to my final thoughts right here, starting with the Ambient Lighting Palette Volume 3. Be clear on this, I didn't buy this palette for what it's intended for a finishing powder. I didn't. I bought it for bronzer and possible for an eyeshadow palette. That's why I bought it for, because I thought it looked just so beautiful, so rich, so beautiful. I mean, like, so pretty. I was like, I want to get it. So I will have to say, performance is beautiful. Using the right brushes, if I go with a regular brush, I'm sure I'm gonna get like really intense. I mean, like, as you can tell, my face got a lot more bronze and more intense than is intended. So this one right here definitely for me works fine if I use the right brushes. I really like the tones, but if you really want to see a true review for what the palette is intended for as a setting, finishing powder, you know, an all over face palette, I will highly suggest to go and check out. I'm pretty sure my friend Victoria James, also known as Vicky J, she will have a review up, and this palette is meant to be for her skin tone. So if you are of her complexion, deep, rich complexion, then you go and check her out, because again, I didn't buy it for, you know, making, you know, like oh, this palette is not deep enough or whatnot, because I don't have that deep of a skin tone. Okay, so leaving that right there, performance is great and I'm happy with my purchase on that. Now going into these Universe palettes right here, starting for the lighter palette, I think this palette, I mean, I'm happy that they decided to do 4 new shades right here. In my personal opinion, I like this finishing powder, the Infinity powder. I know it's not for everybody, but I enjoy it. Now, what I see the main difference between these and this palette right here is that this palette will give you more of a glow. Now, this is definitely intended more for those who have light, medium skin tones right there in the lighter spectrum. I think this will work really nicely on your skin, and I really like that they went for this kind of like movie option and rosy tone option, because in the last couple of years we have seen a lot of like corally tones, which are my favorites, peachy tones too, but I think this is kind of like a right move. The packaging, I mean, is very sturdy, like I said. It opens up a little bit wider too, so it makes it really to set down and kind of just go onto the palette. Has a really nice mirror too. I really like overall, I mean, performance. I think the performance is really great. That's the beauty of Hourglass face powders, is that they, you know, are very forgiving. They have this soft focus effect in general that they make it just like super beautiful. Now, in terms of the ambient lighting edit universe unlock, definitely I think this works for those of us that we have light to medium skin tone, medium tan, and then tan skin tone. Tan to deep perhaps, but I will have to be honest right here that I think they should have had another type of bronzer. Something I will say in between these two bronzers right here. Not as deep as these two bronzers right here, but something in between, kind of to cater, you know, I mean, a wider range. I think they, I don't want to say they missed some work, but they could have done another bronzer. That's in my personal opinion. And this finishing powder right here to me is fine. It's a good one for, you know, medium complexions, tan complexions, but getting into tan deep, no. And I mean, let's be honest right here, you know, dealing with face palettes in general, I mean, I remember the Becca palette too, it's not that easy. I mean, like, to cater to even more skin tones, I think, you know, they can go up to 3 different palettes for the holidays. But hey, we asked for 2, and here are the 2, and I think these blushes right here are, I mean, like super deep enough for, I mean, like, to me, if you see me in real life, you know, it looks intense. It looks intense, and I went with kind of the minimal. So I think this palette, yes, it will work for, again, those who have medium tan skin tones. That's for sure. So I mean, you pick and choose whichever one you want. I think packaging is great, performance is great, you know, formulation is really good. I don't think you will go wrong. And if you like a little bit more of a glowy finish, you know, and you are, you know, in my skin tone, you may like this palette a little bit better. I honestly like both palettes. That's to be honest with you. But this palette right here is the one that gives me more of like more natural and soft effect to my cheeks. Hopefully it makes sense. This is more glowy. This one is more like, oh, I'm natural. I'm naturally born like that. You know, so with that little glow. But overall, I think this is what is getting me more excited for, because I see right here that we're moving into the right direction with Hourglass, and I'm really happy to see that. I'm really happy to see how they develop too for next year, for their next holiday palettes, for their next face palettes, for more bronzers, you know, on the deeper side too, how they expand their blushes too, and how they expand their setting and finishing powders in general in the single ones. So I mean, I think right there is all open. If I will recommend any of the palettes, I mean, absolutely, you pick and choose the ones that you like, but everything performs as it's supposed to be. I'm really happy with my purchase. I know I went overboard with everything today, but I think this is why I do this review right here, is for you to really see how these powders work on not only my skin tone, but you know, how potent they can be, how much you can build them up and whatnot. And by the way, all the products that I spoke today and everything that I'm wearing today, it will be on the description box below for your convenience, along with the links. And talking about that, I would love to know from you, are you planning to pick up any of these palettes right here? Are you just waiting to see them in person? Or perhaps you already like went ahead and it's like, okay, now I collect them or whatnot, and you already purchased them. How are you liking them? Let's continue the conversation on the comments section down below. And while you're at it, and if you haven't done so yet, I hope that you can give me that opportunity and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you ring that post notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads, and come and follow me on my Instagram. If you like this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. Also share with family and friends, and until the next time, I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye.